Hey everybody, welcome to the show, Board Game Reviews. This video is part of a series of videos for 2 Minute Dino Deal. After the break, I'm going to actually give you my full review of the game. But if you're just interested in a quick overview, some sample gameplay, or actually just learning how to play the game, check out the card. I'll link it up below, or I'll leave a link down below in the comments below for the other videos in the series. Stay tuned after the break for my final review. Now, 2 Minute Dino Deal is a game published by Peterson Games, and it's for 2 to 5 players. Now, the running joke inside the house is this series of videos is going to run longer than the actual gameplay for itself, so go ahead and stick around for my final opinion here. Now, this game is a worker placement, and it is also basically an auction game, and it's also a real-time game. So it adds a lot of chaos and a lot of fun, and basically you're playing a 2-minute game where you're all racing, trying to get the best cards, to get the best resources, and make the best sales, and get the most amount of money at the end of the game. Now, a couple really cool things that I really enjoy about this game. First of all, it is very quick to play this game. This is an absolute fantastic filler game. I hate the term filler game, because whenever you say filler game, somebody's like going, yeah, we're playing this game because we ain't got nothing better to do. Well, that's actually not true of this game. You actually play this game because it's a heck of a lot of fun. And by filler game, in this case, I'm referencing the fact that if you have people who are kind of straggling in late coming to game night, or if you're waiting for one more player to show up, or you play a couple different 2-player games and you're breaking up your group into a couple different groups, one group gets done before the one, it's pretty darn easy to pull out this game. It's super simple to teach, and it is super simple to play, but much like everything that Peterson Games makes, there's a lot of strategy, a lot of complexity when it comes to the actual interaction of the game, and there's actually a lot of strategy to it. It's basically what I like to describe as a hallmark for Peterson Games. They take some very simple mechanics and they actually marry it to a game that has lots of variety, lots of strategy, and lots of theme. Well, not really a theme in this case, but you know, that's not really the point of the game. But generally speaking, Peterson Games is very good at doing that, and this game is no exception right here. So we have all seen auction style games before, we've all seen worker placement games before, but most of those games are games that actually take a long time to play. You can come up with lots of worker placement games, and your average worker placement game is going to take an hour plus. Most of your auction games actually have a tendency to take a long time too, unless you're looking at a party game. So this game is actually breaking down a couple different barriers, which is actually a really good positive for the game. First of all, it's very fast to play. It's also very simple and easy to teach. I can simply say that, hey, this is a 2-minute game. All we're going to do is we are going to be racing and take these action spots. If I'm talking to people who play worker placement games, I can basically describe it as saying that every one of these locations is a worker location. Whoever gets their worker first is they're going to be the worker who's going to do the most actions. And the worker size you use is the strength of that worker. So if you use a strength 1 worker, you're going to use that card 1 time. If you use a strength 4 worker, you're going to use that card 4 times. You're going to be able to take 4 actions for that card. We're going to play a certain amount of rounds. We're going to decide how many rounds it is before we start playing. And whoever has the most money at the end of those rounds, yep, you guess is going to be the grand winner of the game. So it's really super simple to teach. And then you just need to add in one more caveat, or actually 2 more caveats. One is that you can only use your size 1 workers in under 30 seconds. Once you break that 30-second barrier, you can start using your size 2 workers on and on till the end of the 2 minutes. The other thing is, and the one thing that I really actually appreciate about this game, is the tiebreaker concept for this game. Because the cool thing about this game is the timer never stops. You have to play the game for 2 minutes, and even if an argument breaks out, and it will happen depending on your friends and the amount of alcohol you have in your system, but when an argument breaks out, there is no tiebreaker. You either figure it out or you both lose access to the card. So you need to figure out, how badly do I want to lose my worker? How badly do I want to win that card? And how badly do I want to waste the timer while everybody else at the table, especially in a 5-player game, because 5-player games love it when 2 players start arguing, because they kind of go, well, this is cool. Let's all just sit back and wait, because all the good cards are coming our way very quickly. So the game has got some very cool mechanics along those lines. Also, this game actually has a decent amount of skill mixed in with a decent amount of luck. Now, I like to play this game over 3 rounds for the simple fact that a 1-round game is 100% luck-based. Well, not 100% luck-based, but it's very easy to lose out due to luck. Because if somebody gets to a card before you, you can pretty much have a round where you really can't do anything. So the game is going to play best. They call it a campaign game. I decide to call it as just basically the best way, in my opinion, to play the game. You want to play a couple rounds. My favorite number is 3, but I've also played with 5 rounds. That also works out pretty darn well, because you're going to keep your dinosaur resources from round to round to round. So you can have a round where you're like going, I think this round I'm just going to be a jerk to this player over here who's really, really winning the game, because you can see the other player's money and see that one player has probably got about $6 or $7 on everybody else. You can kind of see what cards and you can go, yep, you don't have that card. Yeah, I know I'm not going to do much with it, but nope, you don't get that card either. So you can kind of do that over more rounds, which is cool. It's kind of a denial mechanic. Plus, you can also keep your dinosaurs from round to round to round. And there's not a lot of cards in every one of these decks. I think there's 18 cards in every one of these decks, which means you can kind of math it out and start figuring out when your cards are going to come out. And I like to play this game in a way to make sure that we play enough rounds that we go through the entire deck. For me, that's the best way to play the game, because that's where the most of the strategy is going to come in. And you're going to lower that luck potential and start raising the strategies for the game. So that's actually how I like it. Now, the game itself had some really good components. The game is not expensive at all. For the amount of money you're going to spend on the game and the amount of fun and enjoyment you're going to get out of the game, is actually a pretty darn good deal. You have some cards that have a very good laminate on them. No, these are not sleeve cards. That's the amount of laminate on them. And I can sit here and fold them and bend them and bend them and bend them. And you see that they are going to survive me bending them, which is really cool, because that means that these cards are also going to survive a little bit of alcohol, which is another fun way of playing the game. It's also going to survive kids, because kids have a tendency to be a little bit rough with the components. So it's cool that the game does have good components. You have some thick cardboard for the money, thick cardboard for the action tokens, and heck, if you want to have a lot of really good fun, you can go buy one of those little bags of dinosaurs at the store, at the toy store, and then you can actually use those if you want to have a little bit of fun. My oldest son suggested that, and I thought it was a pretty darn cool idea. No, I probably wouldn't do it, but it seems like it'd be a really fun thing to do. Now, I do have one caveat about the components, though. While there are some really good quality components, as I've said multiple times, my favorite way to play this game is over 3 or possibly 5 rounds. I have noticed when you start playing past that 3-round marker, especially when you have a larger player group, you're not going to have enough dinosaurs, and you may also potentially run out of money tokens. Now, that is less of an issue with the money tokens, because we've gotten to the point where we just score every single round and we keep a running total so everybody knows how much money they have at every single round. But it's very easy to start running out of dinosaurs, because players are going to start hoarding a couple of their dinosaurs, because they're going, yeah, this isn't my round, but I know my round is coming because I know my card is coming up soon. So they're going to start hoarding the dinosaurs, and it is actually pretty darn easy to start running out of dinosaur tokens. Our fix for this was to start using the money tokens. So you put a 3 under a dinosaur. That represented that you have 3 or a total of 4 of these dinosaurs, 1 plus 3 more. And if you want to have 2 of them, well, you just use the $1 side plus the other dinosaur. But I just have to say that there aren't quite enough dinosaur components in the game for the multiplayer. Do I want more components in the game? Yeah, it would be kind of nice. Do I think the game really needs it? No, not really. There's a really easy fix for it. And pretty much you only are going to encounter this if you're playing a 5-player game beyond 3 rounds. Or, well, no, actually, I got to take that back. We did play one 3-player game for 4 rounds, and we did run out of tokens in that game too. So that's where we actually came up with that trick of getting around that. So it would be nice if there were more dinosaur tokens and maybe less money tokens if you want to keep the price point at the same. But it is one little slight negative about the components. But other than that, besides the fact that there could have been a little bit more for the price and the quality and the amount of variety that you get in the game, it's actually a really darn good deal. I mean, it's a fantastic deal for the price and the variety and the gameplay you're going to get into it. Now, this game does offer a phenomenal amount of replay, because every time you play the game, the cards are going to come back out in a different order. Every single round, the cards are going to come out in a different order, and every time you play the game, you're going to come up with the different strategies. Now, the cool thing I haven't covered about this game, among other cool things, is the fact that this is one of those games that gets your brain working a little bit differently. Real-time games always have a fun, different way of triggering a different part of your brain besides strategy games. Now, me, myself, my favorite kind of games are strategy games. I love strategy games where you need to plan out for multiple rounds in advance. Well, real-time games kind of tickle a different part of my brain, because you need to do a Photoshop of, say, okay, there's 3 dinosaurs. This is a bind of dinosaurs, but I need to get this kind of dinosaur to go with it, so I need to watch where my trading is and everything like that. So this is one of those games that triggers a different part of the brain. And what I like to do is when I lay out the cards, give everybody like 10 seconds, and I say go, and I hit that timer, and everybody needs to start scrambling. And it creates a little bit of chaos and a little bit of fun. But it is kind of interesting how the game works, and I appreciate how it tickles that different part of the game. Now, the game is not a game that's going to be impossible or take a long time to master, but this is one of those games that's going to affect different parts of the brain differently, which means that people who have different kind of thinking patterns are going to have a different level of enjoyment with this game. People who do not like real-time games where you need to do like math, like just quick math and like thinking 3 times 3 is this, are not going to have a lot of fun with this game because they're going to feel like this game is overwhelming them, which seems funny for a simple game to say that's going to overwhelm you, but it's true. People who just can't make the spatial awareness of going from quickly take this, quickly take this, quickly take this to get this amount of money to win the rounds are going to have a little bit of trouble. But players who are able to do that at a really quick pace are going to have a heck of a lot of fun with this game, and they're going to learn that there's a lot of skill to the game and there's a little bit of mastery that goes in the game, which is pretty darn cool. Now the game does play from 2 to 5 players. My magic number has been about 3 to 4 players, although a 5-player game is pretty darn cool, and a 2-player game works out pretty darn cool because this is one of those games that's made intelligently because your board state, the amount of cards or your board, however you want to describe it, is going to be based on the amount of players. The more players you have, the more cards you have, but the more players you have fighting over all the resources. So it does balance out really well at all the player counts. But me personally, as a 2-player game, it didn't feel quite as chaotic, and for me that's kind of what I enjoyed about the game, was the chaos and just the rapid movement and the denial and having a lot of fun. And that's something that you're going to get a lot more of with a higher player count, but the game is still fun at a lower player count. So the bottom line here is, did I enjoy 2-Minute Dino Deal? Yeah, I think it's a great game for what it is. It's a very quick playing game, and unlike another game that has a timer in its title, it actually lives up to its reputation. This is actually a game that does play in 2 minutes. Now again, I don't think it's best as just playing 1 round. Play a couple rounds, but that still makes this a game that's going to be played in 10 minutes or less. Everything in the box that you need comes along with the game. The only thing you're missing is a timer, and most of us have smartphones, or you can go grab an egg timer, whatever you want. Although the egg timer probably wouldn't work as well. It would look pretty darn cool unless you had a fancy one that gives you kind of, you probably won't have to have it. You're going to need a smartphone or a tablet to play this game. Not a big deal, or some kind of stopwatch, not a big deal. But barring the stopwatch, everything else you need is in this box for a lot of fun. Now, if you have any comments or questions, make sure you leave them down in the YouTube comments down below. I'll be sure to get to them as quickly as I can. You can also feel free to email me off-the-shelf board game reviews. That's otsbgr@gmail.com. Be sure to answer email as quickly as I can. Also, if you enjoy the channel, think about supporting the channel over on Patreon. This channel works with 0 sponsors, so your support over on Patreon can help keep the lights on. Patreon.com/otsbgr. If you enjoy this video, series, click that like button, click that subscribe button. As always, thanks for watching.